You are walking through a supermarket in Tokyo. The produce section is beautiful. Every fruit is perfect. Then you see something that stops you completely. A watermelon. But it is not round. It is not oval. It is a perfect cube. A square watermelon. The price tag says 10,000 yen. That is about 80 US dollars. You look closer. Another square watermelon costs 15,000 yen. A third costs 20,000 yen. Nearly $200 for a single fruit. And here is the strangest part. You are not supposed to eat it. The square watermelon of Japan is one of the most famous novelty fruits in the world. It looks like something from a science fiction movie. But the story behind it is entirely practical. It begins with a problem of space. Let us go back to the year 1978. A graphic designer named Tomoyuki Ono was living and working in Tokyo. He noticed something annoying about his refrigerator. Watermelons, which are naturally round or oval, took up too much space. They rolled around. They bumped into other food. They were impossible to stack neatly. Ono had an idea. What if a watermelon could be square? What if it could fit perfectly in the corner of a fridge, sitting flat against the shelves, not rolling anywhere? He took this idea to an art gallery in Ginza, the high-end shopping district of Tokyo. He presented cube-shaped watermelons as a concept. The idea was both practical and artistic. It was design solving a real problem. The concept caught attention. Farmers in Zensuji, a city on the island of Shikoku in southwestern Japan, began experimenting. They developed a simple method. Take a young watermelon, still small and green. Place it inside a square glass or plastic box. The box has openings for air and light. As the watermelon grows, it fills the box. It takes the shape of its container. That is the entire secret. No genetic modification. No special seeds. You could do this with almost any watermelon. You simply put a box around it and wait. The first square watermelons were shipped to Tokyo and Osaka in the early 1980s. The growers hoped city residents would appreciate the convenience, and they did, but not in the way anyone expected. The square watermelon became a luxury item. Today, hundreds of square watermelons are grown every year in Zensuji. The city holds a patent on the method, so it is the only place in Japan where they can be produced commercially. Each watermelon grows to about 18 centimeters, or 7 inches, on each side. It weighs around 5 kilograms, or 11 pounds. The growing process takes about 2 months. Farmers must carefully monitor each melon. They have to rotate the boxes to ensure even sunlight. They have to check for cracks or soft spots. One mistake can ruin the entire fruit. The patent held by Zensuji farmers means no one else in Japan can legally grow square watermelons using their method. This has created a local monopoly. The farmers work together as a cooperative, sharing techniques and distributing the harvest. The price is high. In 2001, a square watermelon sold for about 10,000 yen, which was roughly 83 US dollars. By 2014, some were selling for $200 in the United States and Canada. Wealthy buyers in Russia have been known to spend as much as $860 for a single square watermelon. In 2023, a square watermelon was listed at a luxury department store in Tokyo for 30,000 yen, about 220 US dollars. The price has only gone up over time. So what are people paying for? Not taste. Because here is the problem. To keep the watermelon perfectly square, farmers must harvest it before it is fully ripe. A ripe watermelon becomes softer. The natural sugars develop late in the growing cycle. If you wait for sweetness, the edges of the square would round out. The perfect cube would be lost. So the square watermelon is picked early. It is firm. It is beautiful. It is a geometric wonder, but it is not sweet. The flesh is often described as bland, watery, and fibrous. It is not enjoyable to eat. One store owner in Tokyo explained it plainly. He said, "Square watermelons are not meant for eating, in fact. They are sold as ornamental items for household decoration. They are good for at least 1 whole month kept at room temperature, a whole month on the counter. No refrigeration needed. That is not a fruit. That is decor." The square watermelon has become so famous that other shapes have followed. Farmers now grow heart-shaped watermelons for Valentine's Day, pyramid-shaped watermelons. Some growers have even created watermelons in the shape of a human face, though those are incredibly rare. The technique has spread beyond Japan. Square watermelons are now grown in Germany, Belgium, and the United Arab Emirates. But Japan remains the spiritual home of the cube fruit. The Japanese version is still considered the most perfect and the most valuable. In recent years, a major supermarket chain in Japan reported that square watermelons are among their most photographed products. Customers rarely buy them, but they always stop to look. Now, let us talk about why anyone would spend $200 on a fruit they cannot eat. The answer is gift giving. In Japan, fruit is treated differently from that in many Western countries. High-end fruit is not for daily consumption. It is given as a symbol of gratitude, status, and respect. You do not give a regular watermelon to your boss or to your in-laws. You give a perfect one. A square one. Department stores in Japan sell fruit that looks like jewelry. A bunch of grapes can cost $100. A single strawberry can cost $10. A perfect mango can cost $50. The square watermelon, at $80 to $200, fits perfectly into this world of luxury fruit. This tradition is called kaju, or fruit of the season. It has roots in Japanese history. For centuries, farmers presented their finest fruits to local lords as a sign of loyalty. The lords then presented them to higher-ranking officials. Fruit became a currency of respect. During the Edo period, which lasted from 1603 to 1868, fruit was so valuable that it was often displayed in the tokonoma, the decorative alcove in a traditional Japanese home. It was placed there like a sculpture or a flower arrangement. People admired it. They did not eat it. Today, the tradition continues. Companies buy square watermelons to give to their best clients. Families buy them to bring to weddings or funerals. People buy them to say thank you to someone who has done something extraordinary. The presentation is as important as the fruit itself. The square watermelon is carefully wrapped in decorative paper called furoshiki. It is placed inside a beautiful wooden box. It is delivered by hand, with a bow. The delivery person often wears gloves to avoid touching the fruit directly. You place it on a table as a centerpiece. You admire its perfect angles. You take a photograph. You talk about how strange and wonderful it is. Then you eat the regular watermelon you bought from the grocery store. There is a practical reason for the square shape in gift giving. Round watermelons are difficult to wrap. They do not sit flat. They are awkward to carry. A square watermelon fits neatly in a box. It stacks easily in a delivery truck. It arrives at its destination without rolling around. The square watermelon is also a status symbol. When you give one, you are saying that you can afford to spend $200 on something that is not necessary. You are saying that you value the recipient enough to buy something unusual and expensive. This is not unique to Japan. In many cultures, luxury gifts serve the same purpose. A diamond ring is not practical. A sports car is not necessary, but they communicate value and respect. The square watermelon is the diamond ring of the fruit world. There is one more detail worth mentioning. The square watermelon is not the most expensive fruit in Japan. That title belongs to the Yubari king melon, a type of cantaloupe grown on the northern island of Hokkaido. In 2019, a pair of Yubari king melons sold at auction for 5 million yen, which is about 45,000 US dollars. These melons are grown one per vine. They are hand-pollinated. They are massaged daily to distribute sugars evenly. They are given paper hats to prevent sunburn. They are the most pampered fruit on earth. Another famous luxury fruit is the Decapon citrus, sometimes called the sumo orange. It sells for about $50 for a box of 6. The ruby Roman grape, from Ishikawa Prefecture, has sold for over $1,000 per bunch. But the square watermelon is more famous internationally. It is the one that appears in every list of strange Japanese inventions. It is the one that tourists take photos of and post online. It is the one that represents Japan's unique approach to design, agriculture, and gift-giving. So what happens to the square watermelons that do not get sold? Some are used for display in store windows. Some are donated to museums or exhibitions. Some are eventually eaten, though reluctantly. A few are carved into elaborate sculptures by professional fruit carvers. In 2015, a Japanese artist named Takehiro Kishimoto carved a square watermelon into the shape of a human skull. The carving took 6 hours. The resulting sculpture was displayed at an art gallery in Tokyo. No one ate it. But most square watermelons are simply admired until they begin to soften. Then they are thrown away. That is the fate of a fruit that was never meant to be eaten. There is a lesson here. The square watermelon reminds us that not everything valuable is useful. Some things exist purely for beauty, for symbolism, for tradition. In a world that often prioritizes function over form, the square watermelon stands as a celebration of the impractical. Farmers in Zensuji continue to grow about 400 square watermelons each year. There are never enough to meet demand. The waiting list for corporate buyers can stretch for months. The square watermelon has also become a symbol of Japanese innovation. It is often used in marketing campaigns to represent creativity and attention to detail. Companies outside Japan have tried to copy the technique, but the Japanese version remains the standard. So the next time you see a picture of a square watermelon, remember the full story. It began in 1978 with a graphic designer named Tomoyuki Ono who wanted to save space in his refrigerator. It was perfected by farmers in Zensuji who placed young melons in glass boxes. It became a luxury item that costs up to $200. It is beautiful to look at, but rarely eaten. That is why Japan has square watermelons, and that is why they are not for eating.